What's going on, guys, and welcome to another Doctor Who review. Today I'm going to be reviewing the 10th Doctor David Tennant story, Tooth and Claw. This is episode 2 of series 2. It is the werewolf episode. It is the first proper episode that we get to see the Doctor and Donna because, of course, last time in New Earth, Cassandra was kind of there being one of those characters for the majority of it, and Christmas Invasion, we didn't really see a whole lot of the Doctor, so this one is an interesting one. It's an episode that I've also always quite liked. It's one that a lot of people don't, I don't know, a lot of people don't seem to love this episode. I mean, I wouldn't say I love it, but I have always quite liked this one and maybe thought it was a little bit better than some people. But we'll get to my thoughts on that in this episode. So anyway, let's get into the cast. David Tennant as the 10th Doctor. He is really good in this one, of course. Episode is set in Scotland. David Tennant is Scottish, and he puts on a Scottish accent for a lot of this episode. And I just really like that, hearing, more of his natural accent, and all that sort of stuff is really, really interesting. And of course, later on in the episode, he drops the accent when things start going to shit, and gets found out. So that's a funny scene as well. But yeah. I do like David Tennant in this, of course I do. Billie Piper as Rose Tyler. Yep, she's good here as well. Maybe a little bit sidelined in this story. She doesn't have a whole lot to do. She kind of gets taken down to where the werewolf is quite early on. Has a few little scenes with some of the maids, and she does eventually come back and is there with the Doctor. But yeah, she doesn't have a whole lot to do in this story. She's just kind of there with the Doctor. So but with what she has, I love the whole "Are you amused?" thing with the Queen as well. So yeah, she does a good job. So we'll get into some points. The Doctor and Rose meet Queen Victoria. So the episode starts with them landing. I think they thought they were going to somewhere in America, was it? I can't remember. But basically they didn't land where they thought they landed. Step out of the TARDIS, there is a Scottish guard. Well, it's not a Scottish guard, is it? Oh no, I think it is actually. But it's a guard with the Queen, pointing his gun at the Doctor and Rose, and he finds out he's in Scotland, and it goes from there. And they meet Queen Victoria. So I love that whole scene. I love it when the Doctor has no idea where he is, when he thinks he's somewhere else and he's in a completely different place. So yeah, that's a good start. Trying to get Victoria to say, "I am not amused." It was a nice little gag. Some people would say that maybe it went on a little bit too much, but I liked it. I thought it was a little bit of humor in there. There were definitely moments later on where Rose said it in a time where it wasn't the most appropriate to be having a little joke. And I mean, Queen Victoria called her out on it a couple of times. So I just thought, as a little bit of a gag here and there, I thought it was funny. The wolf plans to bite the Queen and get into the royal blood. So yeah, that is the premise of the story. This werewolf is there to become a royal, I guess, to bite the Queen and get into the royal family. It's quite basic. It is a pretty basic story, to be honest. But I guess it's a premise of sorts. The wolf and its legion, its people. The bald guys that are doing all the crazy martial arts. They have kind of set up this whole thing to get the Queen here at this time when it's a full moon. They've set it all up, and I think that's pretty cool. The werewolf doesn't like mistletoe, so they had to have something in this story to fight against the werewolf, and it turns out being mistletoe. That is, from what we can tell, because when they were training this werewolf, they used mistletoe as kind of a training aid, so to be like, don't go near that, we'll use mistletoe to get you away from it. So that has made it at least think that it doesn't like mistletoe. So I thought that was interesting. I don't know why mistletoe. Maybe there's a connection there, werewolves and mistletoe, that I don't understand. I'm not amazing with my werewolf logic. Werewolf logic, I guess. My werewolf. Yeah, I'm not great with werewolves. Is basically what I'm trying to say. But mistletoe being the thing that it doesn't like. Okay. The diamond was used to reflect the moonlight back at the werewolf using the telescope to kill it. So we've already got to the end of this story because I didn't have a whole lot of notes for this one, to be honest. But yeah, it turns out because the Queen's carrying around this diamond from her late husband, and turns out this diamond was, he's always cutting it down, And it turned out that he was cutting it down for a reason, because he was making this for this specific time to defeat the wolf. Now, I don't really know how that works. Like, could this guy just tell the future? I'm guessing he must have known about the werewolf, but how he knew that this was going to happen at this time, and it's a little bit far-fetched in some ways, but yeah, it does provide at least, something interesting for this story. They eventually put the because he's like, I'm going to be very, very careful with this. The doctor takes the diamond from the queen. He's going to be like, I'm going to be very, very careful with this, and then he just starts like smashing it and putting it into the telescope, which is quite funny. But yeah, the royal family are werewolves, so that was the big thing at the end. Once they defeat the werewolf, the queen is like looking at her wrist and saying, "Oh, I've got a bit of a cut there." And I think she says it's like a splinter from when the door broke or something. And the doctor's like, "Did it bite you?" And she's like, "No, I'm fine, I'm fine." And she's hiding it, so it's like, did she get bitten by a werewolf? Is the queen a werewolf? And then, when the doctor and Rose are leaving, they're talking about it and they say, they are very private, aren't they, the royals, like the current royals? They're very quiet, and, they have something weird in their blood, or the doctor mentions something about one of them, I think it was something about actually Queen Victoria, something was different in her blood or something. I don't know if that's like a real life thing or what they were playing off there, but I did find it kind of funny at the end where they were like, the queen's a werewolf. It was just a funny little end. And finally, Queen Victoria found Torchwood. So this is the first proper mention of, well, I say proper mention, we got a big mention of Torchwood in the Christmas invasion, but here is where kind of the seed is starting to be sowed, and the Queen Victoria, she founds Torchwood to, basically have a place where if aliens come to Earth again, crazy things happen on Earth again, there is an institute to fight it. And she's also like, if the Doctor returns, Torchwood will be waiting, and that's setting up the season finale. So it is a pretty cool thing to see the start of Torchwood here. And yeah, it will be our series arc for the rest of series 2. So pretty quick going through the points there. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I did still like this story. I like it more than New Earth, but I didn't like it as much as I thought I used to. I used to give this episode like maybe an 8 out of 10. I used to be very scared of it as a kid. I remember having nightmares about the werewolf after I watched that episode as a kid when it first came out. But on this viewing, I enjoyed it, but I thought it was a bit slow. I thought some of the direction and camera work and just the look of the episode, it looked a bit off and cheap. I don't know, compared to some others. So I don't know what that was all about. But yeah, I'm going to give Tooth and Claw a 7 out of 10. I still think it's a pretty good episode. It's one that I can just plop on and watch and enjoy. But I did find it maybe a little bit slower, not quite as interesting as it used to be for me. And yeah, I don't know. It's still decent, but a 7 out of 10 for Tooth and Claw. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.